What's good, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, man. My name is DivaTequila. I appreciate you being here. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I wanted to do a brief guide over breeding and crossbreeding in Palworld. I know it can get a little bit complicated, a little bit convoluted, depending on how you look at it. But I've got a little over 100 hours in the game. I've done a lot of breeding to try to get some ideal pals for myself. Just kind of wanted to impart my wisdom, go over the things that I've found, and try to break down the calculators that I'm using to make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to post the links in the descriptions, but there's two main links that I use that help me breed exactly what I want. Kind of want to just briefly go over how it is that I use them. So the first one is going to be this Palworld breeding guide, whatever, done by Kimpton. So shout out to Kimpton and Blahable. Those are the two people that put this information together. But you'll see that there's a few options that you can use: Pal Breeding Calculator, Pal Breeding Discovery, Pal Breeding Matrix, Pal Shortest Path Calculator. And they all have their different uses. The main one that I use as I'm trying to build up a powerful Pal team is this Pal Breeding Matrix. Because essentially what you're able to do is you're able to pick the parent that you have, and then you can see what all breeding combinations that you have with that parent. And I think the reason why this is such a powerful tool is because if you catch a random thing out in the wild, like a random lucky, where you catch something that has ferocious or musclehead or even serious, depending on what you want to do, then what you can do is you can go through here and you can find that pal. So for instance, I just caught a celery that has lucky last night, and then I can look here and see what are all of my options to breed with this celery. So I have a celery with lucky, and then I have a pin king that has ferocious, so I could technically breed a catress that has lucky and ferocious. And then you can, continue to cascade that into more and more powerful things, which is eventually how I got this Anubis here that has ferocious and aggressive and hard skin. Obviously you can get it a little bit better, you can stack on more stats, but I really just wanted to have something that could be a core piece of my party that I could use for a long time. And also, when I have Anubis in my party, although I do have a couple of Anubis running around my base doing things, anytime I'm crafting something, I can just pull out my Anubis from my party and he'll help me with it really quickly. That's also how I got my Jormuntide as well. I haven't actually captured the Jormuntide in game yet. So essentially, you take your two pals that you want to breed up, you throw them in this here breeding pen, you make sure you got some cake in the box, you're good to go. So like I said, I have the celery here that has lucky, if I can find it real quick. Yeah, I've got the celery that has lucky, so I could technically breed that with a few different things to get a few different powerful combinations. I used the pin king as an example just because he has the ferocious on him, but it's not that complicated to use the PAL breeding matrix portion. I just wanted to kind of touch bases on it because that's the main way that I go about chaining different breeding combinations to try to get to my ultimate end goal. I probably wouldn't stop on the Catress. I would I would go up here, I would get my Catress now that has lucky and ferocious, and then I would see, well, what are my options for Catress. Also, this number that you see beside their name, that's like it's like the rarity, I think, of the PAL. So like, she's not number 75 in the PAL deck, but she's like a 75 rarity out of this whole scale, with I think Jet Dragon being the highest one. So essentially the way the breeding works, the cross breeding from the way I understand it, is you can breed any two pals in the game together, and then that number is averaged together, and whatever that average number is, that's what you end up with. So you'll see then that I can take this Catress and then I can breed it one step further. Like I could take the Catress with ferocious and lucky and then find something in here that has brave. Obviously this has brittle, so I wouldn't really want to do that, but I could take that brittle if I wanted to, or even this aggressive with this Anubis here. So we can go down here and see Catress plus Anubis would give me a Bushi, and it would have lucky, ferocious, and aggressive, potentially with hard skin as well. It's not a 100% chance that when you breed these two parents together you're gonna get all of the passives that you want. So you'll see that's why I have, at the moment I'm working on getting this Anubis to the max level, but it's part of why I have so many Anubis going at the moment, because it's hard to get the exact combination that you want. I have 3 Anubis in my base right now, and you'll notice that all 3 of the Anubis that are in my base have Artisan. So I'm breeding different based on my different goals. So like for my Anubis, for example, since I want some in my base and one in my party. These ones I'm focusing on having Artisan. So I have Artisan, Artisan, and this one actually has Artisan and Series. It has Unstable, which is not ideal. I would ideally be able to breed that one out. But since I got the Sirius and the Artisan, I actually just got this one last night. That's plus 70% work speed on top of the ×4 handiwork. Also a really good miner as well. Before I got this many Anubises, I was using Digtoys over here for all my mining. But Digtoys is a bit bigger, a bit clunkier. I found that he gets glitched out a lot more. My Anubis rarely ever get glitched out. So that's how you use the POW breeding matrix. The POW shortest path calculator is also similar to that, maybe a bit more streamlined, if you will. So if I have my Celeray, my Celeray has Lucky. Obviously, you gotta do multiple breeding paths to get exactly what you want. But say I have my Celeray with Lucky, and I want to turn it into Anubis just to continuity. There is 3 direct paths that just instantly get you an Anubis. The easiest one would probably be the Celeray plus the Relaxosaurus. So it'll instantly tell me that a Celeray plus a Relaxosaurus will get Anubis. Let me see if I can find one that's a bit more complicated. There's a lot of options to get yourself an Anubis. So if you don't have one, I would highly suggest getting at least one to keep in your party or in your base, just because of how much they help around the base and with crafting and even combat as well. You see mine's got the highest attack power in my party. But let's look at a Celeray to get to a Jormuntide. So you got a few options here. The Astegon one, that's probably a bit harder to do instantly, but you have a few easier options, like the Celeray plus Warsect into an Incineram plus Suzaku Aqua. That's not too hard to do. So you got a few options here to where you could turn your Celeray into a Jormuntide without too much work. But I mean, the main thing is that you're trying to stack up your strong passives from weaker POWs onto inherently stronger POWs. So sometimes I've done some of these that have like 3 or 4 steps, because I'm trying to get as many passives stacked up along the way. So yeah, anyways, that's how you use the POW shortest path calculator. Essentially, I just take your POW that you want to pass their passives down, put that as the parent, and then select your desired child. It's basically just one step further from the POW breeding matrix. For parent breeding discovery, this is basically just I guess 1/2 of what we just did. The other half of the opposite of the POW breeding matrix. You basically just choose what you want as a child. You can use this filter of must have this parent if you want, which basically just turns into kind of the shortest path thing. But you can go here with the Jormuntide, and you can just see, with having none selected, you can see these are all of your combinations that you can combine to get yourself a Jormuntide. And you just go through and see if you specifically just want to have this POW, you're not too worried about the passives. You can specifically just look down this list and find what you want to combine it with. If you notice that you have one of these that has ideal passives, then obviously that's what you want to do. Or if you have one of these things, but then you have to breed the other one, then you can breed the passives into it that way. So this one's also pretty useful, especially as you're just discovering what the different combinations are. And this one right here is very straightforward. If you have 2 POWs that you have 2 strong passives on them, so I was doing this one last night trying to combine, let me see, I have the notes actually on my phone. Really good to just either use a notepad or take notes down physically or whatever. But I was trying to get the strongest ice POWs possible. And I was trying to see what passives I could stack on to get those ice POWs, because I'm at the point now where I'm trying to get my first Jet Dragon. So I had let me see, I took my Pin King here that had Ferocious, and then I had a Nightwing. I don't know where it's at the moment, but I had a Nightwing that had Musclehead. So I wanted to see what those two would give me. Yeah, there we go. So those two ended up giving me a King P.A.K.A. But before I started breeding that, I wanted to see, well, how do I get my King P.A.K.A. either stronger with one more passive on it, or how can I turn my King P.A.K.A. into an ice thing? So then I was look, and I can turn King Paka plus this Azarobe that is in there right now. I've got the King Paka plus the Azarobe, so that way I can try to get Ferocious, Musclehead, Brave, and Burly Body onto one Wumpo Baton, however you say that. And then I can take that Wumpo Baton and combine that with a Serpent to bring me back to Pin King. And the reason why I want the Pin King is, like I said, I'm trying to get as many strong ice pals as I can. I've got you know, pretty much a whole, well, these two right here, Randrix and Siblex, are just ice pals. And then I have some ice moves taught to my Finglobe. I think my Jormuntide and my Anubis don't have any ice moves, but those are my two strongest pals at the moment. So, anyways, if I can get that Pin King with all of those passives stacked up, I know it would be pretty strong, and it would also be an ice pal, so then I would replace out one of the weaker ones that I have. But for me to get a even better estimate of how strong this pal would be, that's when you go into the second one. So this has two uses. One, it can help you predict or kind of know how strong your pal is going to be before you go through all of these breeding steps to find out really is it worth it. And number two, you can determine this IV percentage. This IV percentage is for individual values, and it's basically a multiplier applied to all pals that helps determine how strong your base stats are going to be. So for instance, you can have two Anubis, both of the exact same level with the exact same passives, but one of them will have higher stats. The reason for that higher stats is that there's a hidden little stat multiplier in all of these pals that's applied across the stats. So obviously, before I breed these pals, I'm not going to know what this IV percentage is going to be, but it can help me determine once I have the pal, I can plug in the numbers that I actually have to determine, excuse me, is this actually a really strong pal? Do I have the passives stacked up that I want, and do I have an IV percentage? And higher IV percentage is going to lead to higher stats. So I think at the moment, as long as you're getting strong pals with strong passives, the IV percentage doesn't matter as much. But as they start to release like in-game raids and PvP and stuff, you're going to want to try to get strong pals with strong passives and a high IV percentage. So, like I said, I want to take my Wumbo Baton and that Azarobe, and I want to turn that into a Pin King. And then ideally I would get it, you know, farm it up to level 50, so that way it can help me actually against Jet Dragon. And you see it's just at a base 456 at the moment. Let me come down here, replace the passives the way I want. So we would have Burly Body, we'd have Musclehead, we'd have Ferocious, and what was the last one going to be? Aggressive, I think? Something like that. I think Aggressive or Brave. Yeah, Aggressive, because unfortunately it does have a defense drop. And you'll see that instantly gives me the 729, and then you can take it a step further and say, okay, well I do plan on putting some PAL souls into it. So you can then apply that multiplier there. So I'm probably gonna put a couple PAL souls in here just to help me get Jet Dragon. Let's see if I take it to level 3. Then you got a 795, so we're right at 800 attack. Let me see, can I combine a couple Pin Kings together? Sure. Can combine a couple more Pin Kings, and that takes it up to 835, and that's without having any IV bonus on it whatsoever. So not bad. You can see as that IV bonus goes up. So if I just have one flat as 0, I don't even know if 0 is possible, but you get one that has 15. I mean, it's a pretty massive boost. So you go from 840 up to 932. Pretty dope. So these two websites right here are really what you want to be using to help you build your ideal pals for your party and for your base, to try to make sure that you can form the strongest team, give you the team that gives the most benefit. Like I said, at the moment I'm trying to give myself a really strong ice team, specifically so I can take down Jet Dragon. My Finglobe is staying in my party because that's my mount. I've got Runner and Swift on it. You can pretty much navigate everywhere I need to in that area, so I don't have to worry about a flying mount. And he does have Blizzard Spike on him as well, on her rather. I see that, baby. So pretty good here. Unfortunately, doesn't have really strong attack, so they're not going to help me too much against Jet Dragon. I did go last night to try to farm up a couple Sibelex. Unfortunately, doesn't have any good passives at the moment. I haven't leveled it up at all. I haven't, tried to breed this one at all. So just a a base power of 493, which is kind of low. It's even lower than my mount, so that's one that I'm trying to swap out. My Jormuntai is not bad at 808, but doesn't have any ice attacks, so I would ideally like to either breed this ferocious, aggressive, and hard skin onto something else, or be nice if I could find some skill fruits that teach some ice skills. We have the Rangerics as well. Not the highest at 629. Does have Musclehead. The bottomless stomach doesn't matter to me too much at the moment, just because I'm only going to be using him for specifically for this fight, and then after that I'm not too worried about it. Musclehead's good. The negative work speed doesn't matter again in this instance, but then we have my pride and joy, my baby that I've really been working on. I've already got it up to, we're almost at the max level, so I've put 4 plus 16 plus 36 different Anubis in here, so that's 50. I put 56 other Anubis into this one, feeding it souls to try to make them stronger, so already really strong. I've also used more of the Pal souls on this one as well, so you can see that this one's pretty strong, but again, doesn't have any ice skills available. So yeah, I'm going to try to turn this King P.A.K.K.A. and this Azarobe into the Wumpo Batan, and then combine that back in to make me a stronger Pin King, and see if I can keep the train rolling. I know that I can actually turn this King P.A.K.K.A. into an Ice King P.A.K.K.A. as well, so that may be something that I do as well. But yeah, either way, I just wanted to give a quick rundown of how I breed, how I crossbreed, what goals I have in mind, because I think that before you just start breeding, unless you just want to have fun with it, by all means go for it. But if you're breeding with a specific objective in mind, ask yourself, what is my end goal here? Go here, find your end goal, find your quickest path to that end goal, go here and confirm, is it actually going to be worth it? And then once you've completed the breeding as well, determine what your IV percentage is. So you look and you compare what attack value do I have on my Pin King. So if I do this breeding, I get all of these passives on here. Level 1, I haven't put any things in here. What is my attack and what is my health and such compared to this 734? So if I breed them, you can't do anything to affect this IV. It's random whenever they're first hatched. So if I breed him and he's got 785 attack, then I know that he's got a 10% IV, which isn't the highest, but at least it's something. So yeah, ultimately that's how you do it, man. That's how you try to breed the ideal team comp. Like I said, I don't think the IV percentage matters as much right now, but as more content comes out and things get a little bit more competitive, it's definitely going to matter more, man. But if you stuck around this long, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching, man. If this helps you out at all, let me know. Leave a like, drop a comment below. I've really been enjoying Palworld, trying to find my footing in terms of making Palworld content, just because most of the time I'm playing, I just I zone out, and I'm just really enjoying it. I just finished my Fellowship of the Ring audiobook last night. Literally just sitting here playing Palworld. A lot of the times I play with the volume of the game on low. I've tried playing with it on mute, but then I can't hear the luckies. So I usually play with the volume of this on low, and then I just have my book going in the background, and it's been good for my mental, man. So I hope you're enjoying it as well. With that being said, I love you. Stay safe. Have a wonderful day. Peace.